Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Gisette King, co-founder of Cafe Azul, and today we're having a wonderful interview with Jean Tenbrink, and she is the founder of Project LEAH. So we're gonna teaching today the kids, the parents, what is Project LEAH, what is the purpose, and why it's important for you as a parent to connect with them. I have been knowing Jan for a long time. She's a wonderful person. I even feel, good to say that I consider her my friend. She's an amazing person, and I am so excited that we have her tonight. So, Jan, talk to us a little bit about you.
Hello, Gisette. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I am a mother, first and foremost. I've got three beautiful girls, ages 23, 16, and 15. My youngest two are on the spectrum. And what I help parents navigate the special ed process for work. But my main job, my most important job is being mom to these three beautiful girls I have here.
Wonderful. So, um, what inspired you? What happened that you came up with Project LEAH?
So Project LEAH stands for Leaders Ending Abuse and Harm. And I co-founded it with my oldest daughter. So my 23-year-old and I kind of collaborated together and co-founded this. And this all came out of my youngest daughter's name is Leah. And Leah suffered abuse and harm and mistreatment in her classroom. So she is a student who receives her special ed services in a self-contained classroom. And she has very limited verbal skills. So what happened was we started to get more calls from the school, come get her. She's having these major behavior episodes. And although Leah does have some behavioral challenges, these were things that were above and beyond what we were used to. And it started
That is
happening.
one of the and that is one of the red flags,
Yes.
When your kid is starting to have a lot of behaviors at school, that there's a quote that says that behavior is communication. And sometimes those behavior are a way of our limited verbal or nonverbal kids to tell us something.
Right, exactly. And so because of what you just said there, after we found out what happened, I had a lot of guilt that I've been dealing with for the past couple of years. This all happened in 2020. It may have happened more. I mean, Leah was coming home with scratches and bite marks and bruises, and no one could tell us where they were coming from. It must have happened when they were outside for gym, or she must have done that to herself, kind of thing. But then when I started getting the calls, I was wondering what was going on, what's happening. And I never once thought it could be the teachers. I don't know, I just worked so hard, with other parents, and as far as like building bridges with schools. And I was that parent who sent in, I sent in all kinds of things to the classroom all the time. I had open communication with both the teachers. That was the last thing on my mind. So
what about the cameras? Because there were cameras in the classroom.
There were cameras in the classroom. So what happened was Leah was restrained 3 times in, I think, a week. And I thought, what, and the teachers were telling, maybe it's her hormones, it's puberty is hitting and all these things. So I'm thinking maybe it is. And so I had asked to view the video footage to see, I wanted to see the antecedent. I wanted to see what was happening to trigger all these behaviors. Well, they denied me access to it. And it was spring break, it was coming up, and I said, okay, look, you watch it. I turned it over to the special ed admin and said, you watch it. You tell me what you see on there. And then we'll go from there. We'll schedule an art and we'll do whatever. So then we had spring break and then the world shut down, right? And so I said, right? Everything was just kind of out of place. No one knew what we were going to do. The kids were now all virtual. So I had to figure that part out. And I had not heard back from the school. So I asked again, hey, did you watch the videos? What's up with that? So I got different stories. Yeah, I watched them. There was nothing to see here. And then, oh, wait a minute, let me go rewatch them. And so, because I said, what do you mean there was nothing to see? She was restrained. Obviously, there's an incident. Well, let me go rewatch them. So they rewatched them. And then shortly after that, they gave me a written synopsis of the 3 incidents where they found nothing. That's what I was told. She just kind of had these meltdowns and behaviors. There were students in the classroom who were kind of provoking her, is what I was told. But nothing kind of out of the ordinary. So I'm kind of just sitting here like trying to wrap my brain around, what are we going to do? How are we going to help her when we go back to face-to-face? And I ended up getting a text message from a teacher on the campus telling me that these teachers were being fired. So that's when I went ahead and I got a high paid advocate and an attorney and requested again to view the video. So I did not get to view video footage until June 8th of 2020. And still,
How many months passed?
That was about 3 months. And so I had gotten the synopsis, so I knew what the coordinator had told me she saw in the video. But I never got to actually see the video. But when I found out that people were losing their jobs, that kind of gave me a red flag, what actually happened to Leah. I still walked into that meeting just kind of open-minded. I still looking for antecedents. I had no idea. So when I walked in, no one prepared me or prepped me for what I was about to see. So I got in, watched the video with my advocate, and the video was not consistent. So it wasn't like I was seeing, 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. in a big chunks, man. It was kind of like edited and chopped. So I was only allowed to see certain things. Even some of the things that were in the written synopsis were not on the video that they allowed me to see. And so what I saw was a lot. And I only got to see maybe 20 minutes worth of video for 3 days.
Wow. That's not enough. And do you know, did they respected like the amount of time that they needed to take to communicate with you after you request like to see the video? Like did they do it within the allotted time? Did they took more time? Or you don't know how much time do they needed to have?
Well, what happened was when I first requested it, they said no. They just denied me. And that's when I gave it over to them. I trusted these people. I trusted the coordinator, the teachers to tell me. So when I found out some stuff was going on campus, that's when I went ahead and I sent an email using some very legal terms to hold and preserve any video footage for litigation purposes. And then when I requested that time, they responded right away. And I was able to come in right away to view it.
So probably if you wouldn't use some legal terms, or if you wouldn't have the help of an advocate, then everything was fine and that's it. You wouldn't know what was happening.
Yeah, and I think having an attorney too, because the law is very vague about when a parent can view video footage and when they can't. So the school district was playing games. Like, there really wasn't an incident, but there was because she was restrained. So really understanding that cameras in the classroom, Bill, it's hugely important. And it is very still murky. It is very vague, really is. So
Yeah, and sometimes something that is really important that our special need parents don't know. There is a camera in the classroom, but unless a parent
mhm,
requests for the camera to be on, it is not on.
right.
Nothing is recorded. And sometimes parents feel calm because you know how they have that little sticker that says there's a camera in the classroom.
Hmm.
But if none of the parents requested for the camera to be on, nothing is recorded at all. I
That's right.
was I
That's
was
right.
stopped on my tracks when I learned that. And
Yes.
since that moment, I could love my teacher, my sister. I could love my daughter's teacher today, and I could trust her. And every year, I said I want the camera on in the classroom.
Every year at the beginning of the year.
Every year, I
Yep.
don't care who you are. I love you. I trust you, but I want that camera on.
Exactly. So I knew the cameras were on. I just did not expect to see what I saw. Um, so there was, like I said, there was a lot of verbal abuse. They were cursing at her, um, in her face, provoking her. There was so much on that video, and even though it was just 20 minutes of time. So, and I viewed it twice, and that was very difficult. So I came back a second time and rewatched some things. Um, and so the school district told me that they requested that these teachers have, a complaint. They filed complaints with SBEC, the state board. Um, so I was like, okay, good. CPS was called, but they never came and followed up. Um, and then our attorney was supposed to file SBEC, but she forgot, so that never happened. So in the midst of all of this and finding out that nothing happened to these teachers, absolutely nothing. I asked the attorney, what can I do as a parent? And so I was told, well, SBEC doesn't really do a whole lot to teachers. That's why, because there's this loophole that teachers, it's like local parentis, teachers can get out of jail, so to speak. If your kid is in their care, then they take over the role as parent. So if they do certain things, there's a loophole that doesn't hold them accountable at all. So she said the only way to make that change is to do that through the legislative advocacy. So that's when I sat down with my oldest, told her everything, and we decided to come up with this Project LEAH. And what this is we want to train parents across Texas about legislative advocacy, getting some of these accountability loopholes closed. Getting some accountability is huge for me because there was 2 teachers, a para, an occupational therapist, all in the room when all of that abuse happened. And you're a teacher, that's mandated reporters, all of them. And none of them did that. They held Leah down in a prone restraint. 2 adult women held her down, face down. But the restraint report that I got from them did not have that restraint on it. So they falsified documentation. They said they had her and they were on either side of her, 2-person hold. They didn't say they had her face down.
Wow.
So having that accountability piece to hold everybody accountable in the room when
Because
something
if a
like
kid
this
is
happens.
abused and there's a person on the side and doesn't do anything,
Mhm.
yours are guilty.
Absolutely,
Because
you are.
I am an educator, and if you see, you know, uh, like abuse or any kind of like, if you just see a teacher that is like oversharing information over a test, you need to report her.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, and then there is a kid being abused, and like that is more important than any state test. School is
Absolutely.
supposed to be a safe place.
Exactly. Exactly. For all students. Like I shouldn't have to worry that my child is having to be tormented by her teachers at school. So, what we're trying to do is provide training. So first training on what these bills are that are causing these like no accountability problems. And we want to also not just do legislative, because legislative advocacy, what we've come to find out, it takes time. I mean, you can be in there, you can have all your ducks in a row, and if you can't get in there, you have to wait for another session. So we're talking, years really. So we want to train parents on the local advocacy, going to your school board, learning how to file grievances. Um, and that's what we're really trying to be about, is just educating parents on what to do, writing that email to hold and preserve video footage, like you mentioned, making sure as soon as the start of the school year you're requesting in writing that the cameras be turned on.
Yes, that is
So
so, so important.
mhm.
And also looking at kids' behavior. You
Well,
know,
yes,
sometimes as parents, you know, that is so
yes,
important. If they're having regressions and nothing is changing at home, you know, something is happening.
that is absolutely true. With ours started, and I believe this with everything in me, is that what happened with Leah, especially with this one teacher, was total retaliation. Um, because she wasn't making progress on her IEPs, and I was questioning some things, and all of her grades were the same throughout the whole entire year. The progress reports, the same comments. And so I started questioning, well, I'm not really seeing her able to do this. And the teacher didn't like that. Um, I
How
know
come they say that the kids can do something, but they cannot do it at
they
home?
can do it, right? Right?
Like, how come they're reading this level and they
Mm-hmm.
can barely read half of that level at home?
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Right?
like, this is a big discrepancy here.
Huge. And so she didn't like that questioning. She didn't, and that became an issue. Now, I didn't find that out obviously until I watched the video. But there's a lot of players here. Even the admin on that campus did not
Yes.
report. Did not report. So I mean, that's a huge problem. So I still struggle with sending her back. So right now she is homeschooled, and she's probably going to stay homeschooled until I can get through this. Get just a lot of guilt. She had a lot of behaviors that were not typical. And I missed it. And I listened to everybody saying it was puberty. Could be this.
And it could happen. Like, I wouldn't, I wouldn't, you know, blame you. Again, I know you as a mother and how involved you are, but it's really difficult because we are part of a lot of like autism or special needs support group. And we see all those moms saying like if they're boys, they're getting a little bit more aggressive, if they're
Yes.
girls. So so when we started seeing those things, we start thinking, it's the turn of my girl. She's growing,
Mm-hmm.
she's getting her period, she's developing, and she doesn't know how to do with it. Like, I don't have special needs, and you know how we're getting our period, like, we don't even want to talk to our husband. We don't even want to talk to ourselves. So
Right.
imagine, a girl with an intellectual disability or sensory issues, like, it should be very overwhelming. So
Mm-hmm.
we are just saying like, oh, this is the same things that I have seen other parents comment about, you
Right.
know, because this is what we have seen, and something that is really important besides the camera, and something that I do is, again, there was a time that Carol was coming like with a little bit scratches in the back, and I automatically take pictures of it
Yes.
right away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say like, oh, no, right away. and I emailed the teacher, hey,
Mhm.
what happened here? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it was okay. Then and I emailed transportation. Hey, this happened. And I
Mhm.
include everybody in the email. If she takes a bus, I include transportation. I include because there's gonna be some questions. Because if you just email the
Abs-
teacher, she can say whatever she wants about it.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things that I did. Now, unfortunately, these were some really bad people.
Yeah.
Um, when I emailed questioning about the scratches and the bite mark, and nobody knew what was going on, what I found out after, through some investigation and finding stuff out after the fact that we're all in quarantine and I'm finding this stuff out was they took it out on Leah. So they didn't let her go to PE outside and caused her to have a huge meltdown. And then one of the things they were saying was, your mama has been complaining of your scratches, but they're talking to her about it. So you're not going it with us. Everybody else go, line up. Leah, you stay. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I heard.
And let me
Um,
tell you something. That was the year that in that school, because I know people in that school, the kids didn't have any outlets until the end of the day. Like there was no model lab. There was it was instruction all the way until 2. Like they were even eating in the classroom.
yes,
They were
which they
having
weren't.
music and PE in the same classroom.
Mhm.
Like, you know how overwhelming it is? I am an adult. I have 40 years old and I need a break.
Yeah.
So it was because this was the time when, and I think that that was also the same year where teachers needed to do in classroom instruction and virtual instruction at the same time.
Well, this was before that happened.
It was before that.
Yeah, it was before
Okay.
COVID. I mean, we just hit COVID.
Oh, okay.
When so Leah's abuse happened before.
Oh, okay.
And so all of this, this is not the first time. It's not the first time she's had some issues in the classroom. But this is the first time it was caught on video. So that's why we were really just
And again, in no
sit
way,
back.
in no way we are justifying because again, I am an educator. And if you cannot manage your stress level in the classroom, get another job, you know? But a problem that we are seeing and that is making these things worse is that they're putting more special needs kids and less support.
Right.
There was a classroom when there were 13 kids and there was only one parent and one teacher.
Hmm. That's awful.
It is overwhelming. Again, it doesn't matter how stressful you are, it will never like justify for you to be aggressive or to hurt another person because
Hmm.
school is supposed to be a safe place. But for special needs education in certain districts, the quality of special needs is, reducing and reducing and reducing.
Yes.
Like I remember the time when a model lab was it was a something that has to be in every school. And you don't know how many times I have talked with different kind of parents or different kind of teachers that the school has the the things to have a model room and they don't have it. They
Hmm.
just have it in a closet.
Hmm.
It's not a priority. And do you know how a model lab could help a kids with behavior? Like that is where you take a kid before the behavior escalates.
Right.
So, I think that I the teacher did horrible, and she needs to be held accountable. But I think that it was that not only the teacher failed, the system. and the district, and like you said, the administrator,
The,
because
the district did fail. They all failed.
the
Exactly.
teacher that was there and didn't do anything and didn't report it and allow it because it was more than 3 times.
Yes, it was more than 3 times. There was two teachers, paras, occupational therapists, assistant principals, and then the district at the top covered it up. So they knew it happened. They saw the video, and instead of telling me what happened, they chose to cover it up. So it's a failure across the board. Um, there's just no value in our children, especially our children with any kind of behavioral challenges and communication needs. And when you have admin who doesn't step up and require that our children deserve more, like they don't even, our kids are down this hallway, they're not even really paid attention to. The admin comes in and out, and then I remember going in for an observation, and the assistant principal looked at me. I was an observer, so I was just watching from the back. And Leah was doing her math, and she looked at me and she goes, "Wow, she knows how to use a calculator." And I thought, what? you know, they just have no clue what our kids are capable of, or have that high expectation of
And let me
students.
tell you,
And
some administrators, they don't like to go to the special need classroom
yes, I know.
because
Tell me.
they like to cross their teeth. And when you go to a special need classroom, every student have their own needs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something that they can easily cross their teeth, you know? And other excuses sometimes they don't want to see because some things that I have heard through the vines is that it's really hard to hire special needs teachers. So sometimes, like if they are considered adequate, like for other classroom, they require rockstar teachers and
Right.
you can always improve. But for special needs or fundamental, like, is she adequate? Like, are the kids okay? Well, like if we don't have any complaint and she's, there's no like
Mm-hmm.
violence or anything, like it's okay.
It's
We'll
okay.
help her. It's okay. She doesn't have to be rock star. We just need somebody there, which is
Mm-hmm.
not,
Yeah.
because these kids need the best
Yes, they should
because
be highly qualified.
there's
Right.
so much that they need. It is emotional, it's physical, it is different kind of learning styles. Each one of them is in a different pace. Like they should be asking for top notch because she's the one that is going to be taking these kids to the next level.
Right. But they also, you get top notch, but then you don't support these
That's
teachers.
true.
And then teachers end up leaving. You have really great teachers that have left certain districts and then moved on to another one because they're just not supported.
They're not.
Um, and that's a problem, you know. Um, I don't know what we're gonna do about it, but it's a mess, and it really needs to have someone come in and do a total revamp. And we're losing teachers left and right in special ed. We are, because we're not giving them the support they need. You cannot put a bunch of kids in a classroom that have all these behavioral challenges and not support the teacher, not provide her with a good para, or allow her to let a para go and have another para in. There's all these politics that come into play, and then our children suffer because of it.
No, and they and something that I have been noticing, they're playing along with that ratio. Like they're making it
Oh
like
yeah.
pushing the envelope or not respecting the federal. This is federal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a federal standard of ratio of special need kids per adult to be in a classroom. And that is not respected and is run over. But one of the reasons that I wanted to interview you is, again, in Cafe Azul, besides being the president, I'm usually the one that is working one on one with parents when they have art or when they have like incidents in their schools. And something that is one of the main reasons of this is that we need to get parents fired up about
Yeah.
being their own kids advocates.
Mhm.
Because, for example, and again, you don't need to be a teacher, you don't need to have an education degree, but do you know how many free workshops there are out there and parents don't go?
Mhm.
Well, there is a night where there are gonna be prices on drink and everybody go. Everybody have time. And then something happened in their school and they are like, oh, I need an advocate. I need somebody for do it for me and I cannot pay. But what about all the trainings that were offered and you never went? You know, we cannot wait for something like this to happen to get ready. We need to say, I want to be my son or my daughter advocate. I need to be ready. How do I know that he's been taught what he needs to be taught? I need to know how to address the district when things are not going right. I need to know what are my rights as a parent, what are my kids' rights, things like that. We need to know, especially when our kids are limited verbally or are non-verbals,
Yes.
because some of them cannot advocate for themselves to see what happened. So
Mhm.
that is why I was so passionate about it, hoping that when parents see this interview, that fire can be ignited, because right now is one of the easiest way to get trained as a parent. There's so many trainings that they're even recorded that you can take from your house
Yes.
for
Yes.
free. There are people able to train you for free to advocate for your kid
Mhm.
in your house. You don't need a babysitter. Like right now is the best time to get what you need to advocate for your kid. So right now in 2022, what is the vision for Project LEAH? What does Project LEAH wants um, to do and achieve in 2022?
Well, for us, we are working on becoming a nonprofit. First of all, so that we can just have more resources to reach all the families we want to reach. We have partnerships out of state. So Maryland, we have some partners out there in Maryland, and we want to take this nationwide. So for 2022, we are just forming into we've changed from a parent coalition to a community coalition, because it's so important that sometimes it's just us parents, fighting the same fight that we've been fighting for many, many, many years. But there's allies out there who can partner with you. And sometimes having those allies helps get that word out there faster and louder. So we're a community coalition. Now, so our vision for 2022, which is almost, I mean, we're right at the end of April, we're having parents, we're going to have leadership trainings and get those parents trained. And I know that's going to be a struggle. However, we have about 75 parents and allies in our group. Um, and this is one of the things that we need them to do is we need them to attend these trainings, um, so that we can take our voices are loud when we present them all together. Take them up to the Capitol, take it to your representatives, um, and try to affect change. So right now, my focus right now is all about accountability and holding people who do harm, whether that's an educator, a para, a professional, accountable. Um, I know in my case, these teachers are off teaching in different districts.
Wow.
So nothing happened. And they're all teaching, in a self-contained setting with other kids that are a lot like my daughter. So that's not okay. We want to stop seclusion and restraint. My daughter has challenges with her behaviors, and we have never, never had to restrain her. So that's that's just a few things. So we're growing so fast because one of the things, which is very sad, but when we started at the end of December, we've had families reach out from all over Texas, Wisconsin, Maryland, who have suffered. Their children have suffered these abuses in the classroom. It's just horrible to hear how many kids out there this has happened to, how many families. I mean, it obviously affects the student, but it's affected us as a family. It
Everybody.
has changed us completely. And we've had to work through a lot of these feelings that we've had to deal with for the last 2-3 years.
And if we go to the pyramid of Maslow in the needs, if you do not feel safe in a place, like you're not gonna be able to learn.
No.
There's gonna be regression. You know, you need to feel safe, love, have that anxiety level low. But if if there's a place where just walking through the hall is gonna have triggers, the learning is not gonna happen.
Yes, absolutely. And
So
you did touch on a point about parents becoming involved. That is huge. We need parent involvement. We need parents. I'm not saying they have to learn everything and be like the best advocate, but you do need to know the basics. You do need to attend your ARDs. You do need to go through that paperwork with a fine-tooth comb. If you don't understand something, ask. Have somebody sit down with you.
Or something as easy, like, for example, something that I learned is when I go to the art, I don't go to surprises anymore. Like when I go to an art, everybody needs to give me the paperwork before I go into that room. And there's some parents that they just go and they are presented with a lot of information, and then they have other kind of meeting, and then they ask them, do you have any question? Like, what time? Like,
how can you even think?
I know professionals that they are invited to a meeting because they are bilingual and they need to translate. They don't even know what they're translating. So imagine, and there's so many terms. Like sometimes as a special need parent, you need a class just to learn the terms. Like the FIE and the IEP and the this and that. And because a lot of parents, they don't know. And they're like, do you agree? And they're like, oh, okay. And some parents, they are even embarrassed because they don't know what you're telling them.
Yes. And it's intimidating.
Like, I don't want to look like a moron. I am not an educator, so I'm going to say yes.
I'm not going to say yes. You have all these professionals around you telling you what they believe is best for your child. It can be intimidating. It can be emotional. I mean, I always tell parents, even if you can't afford an advocate, to bring somebody with you. So it could be your mom, your sister, your friend. Someone should always come with you to an ARD. Someone should be helping you take notes so that you can stay focused on what's happening at the table.
Yes, and let me tell you, I am an educator. I have been in a lot of art as a translator. I have had my own arts, and it is emotional. It doesn't matter how many times you have had an art. It always gets emotional. And like even if you have good relationship with the teachers, like sometimes it's still emotional because it still feels sometimes like a struggle of getting your kid what he or she needs.
Yes.
And different kind of loopholes as they grow. For example, something that I learned a few years back, it was that mostly of the education in elementary was academic. But then when they move to junior high, it's like 60-40. 60 academic, 40 kind of transition, like things to do by themselves. But when they go to high school, it's mostly that skills. So if your kid didn't have the foundations in elementary, it's hard because the upper they go in education, the less academic they get.
Yes.
And some parents, they don't know that. So And by the time that they realize, they lost a lot of fields because they were not like on top of the game in elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why it's very important to educate them and, just be prepared for your kid. So, and you say that you want to go nationwide with Project Leah. Um,
That's our
I-
dream.
yes. So, I know that in your background you have the email. What are other ways or social media outlet that parents can connect with you, follow you, get inspiration from you guys?
Well, we just started our social media pages. They just got put up, I think yesterday. So we're all over. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We had a private group in Facebook, but what we're moving towards now is more of a public group.
Okay.
So that we just have way too many people wanting to come in from all over. So it's very hard to kind of
Yes.
manage that private group. So we're gonna put it more public, and I think my daughter already did that yesterday. So we're on all the social media pages now, and we're even gonna start TikTok. So that won't be me. That will be Bree.
Really excited about Project Leah. Really excited about, how we can turn something that was negative in our life and take it as fuel to get to make something bigger, not
Mhm.
only for your girl, but also for other parents. You know,
Absolutely.
we cannot control what happened to us, but we can control what we get out of that.
Hmm.
You couldn't change what happened, but you can change how the future for Leah is going to be. You can change how the future of other kids is going to be when you empower and teach and prepare other parents to become advocate and get empowered and know their right and know that they are going to be able to be the best that they can be for their kids can be safe and get the services that they deserve at this time. Again, because it's a video, we don't have the sharing um feature to share the social media, but when we put this video in YouTube, in the description, we're gonna be putting all the social media information so you can connect with
Oh,
Project
great.
Leah and their organization. Jen, uh any words that you want to say to finish our wonderful interview?
I just want to say to parents, you know,
Mm.
especially the parents of children who have communication challenges, listen to that. Um, all behavior is communication. If something is not typical of your child, listen to that. Find out what is causing that. Um, she tried to tell me many, many, many times. So that is one message that I like to get out to everyone is just pay attention to your children. Don't just write it off as puberty or something else going on. Really try to dig in and find out what is going on and causing these behavioral challenges.
Thank you so much, Dan, for your time.
Thank
We are really excited. I am in Project Leah, and any
Yay.
way that Cafe Azul can collaborate with you guys and, just help you or in any way that you can, we are here because we love connecting with others. We love to support our mama bears that are out there empowering other parents because that is one of the main vision and mission for Cafe Azul. We like to educate, inspire, and motivate. All right. So again, thank you so much. We're gonna be
Thank
ending our
you.
record. Thank you guys for watching us. If you have any question, when we post the video, we're gonna put Project Leah. Well, you can see it right there, so you can copy it, the email, but we will also put it in the video. Any question that you have, let me know. And if you would like for Cafe Azul to do other interview with Project Leah with more specific topic, let us know as well. I love working with Jen, and I know that anything that she can do to put the message out there and educate parents, she's gonna go for it. Thank you, Jen. Love you.
Thank
You're
you.
wonderful. You look beautiful. And
Thank you, Gisette.
God bless your family. Bye.
Bye bye.